what is going on, Cover One crew? Your boy Chris Chow's back again for Cover One Fantasy Football, and you know what? It is waiver wire time. And I mean, it's tough sledding this week. There is not a lot of big names, not a lot of help that we're likely going to get off the wire, but I got some players to at least help you out on Week 7 Waiver Wire Additions, must-have players. And I mean, we got to scrap and we got to claw because the, halfway point of the season is coming. So we're going to definitely try to find those players. Follow me down and we'll see who we can snag off the wire this week. I mean, the only real positive that we can note right now is that there wasn't a ton of injuries that transpired from Week 6. So that's a positive. That means our rosters were held intact for another week. But let's dive into running backs as per usual. First one on the board. I don't know what the heck is going on in Baltimore because Kenyon Drake is now on the waiver wire must-add list for running backs, and we got to start, developing our bench because it's going to get tougher and tougher as the season goes on. Players are going to start getting nicked up. I don't know what happened to J.K. Dobbins if he was dealing with some injury. They kind of, speculated that it could have been a hamstring injury. I didn't hear anything tweaking the knee again or anything like that, but Kenyon Drake owned the backfield last week against the New York Giants, so he is now back on the fantasy radar. Don't know how much this is going to be consistent week to week, so I mean, don't spend crazy fab dollars to get a Kenyon Drake unless you're desperate for a running back and you're just going to stash him on the bench in hopes that he's going to continue his, volume share. It's going to be difficult to trust Kenyon Drake, no kidding about that. But I mean, at this point, because of volume, he did, he earned it, and he played very well. So Kenyon Drake is the top running back off the board this week. Kyren Williams from the LA Rams, he graces the list right now, still on the IR. He should be activated within the week. I think after the bye week, he should be activated. So get Kyren on your bench right now because they are trading away Cam Akers. We could actually say Kyren could be the guy, but I mean, Darrell Henderson is still the number one back now without Cam Akers in that locker room. He has played his last down for LA as per Coach Sean McVay, but Kyren Williams is the guy they handpicked and drafted, so they will utilize him once he is fully healthy and back. He is a very good pass-catching running back that will be able to hopefully, improve this Rams offense that has been sputtering of late, and they haven't looked good, haven't looked like the Super Bowl champions that we have been accustomed to with Sean McVay. But I mean, Kyren Williams, definitely someone you got to own, at least stash on your bench and see what happens once they pull him off, pick him up back off the IR. Deion Jackson from the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, this one's I don't know, man. This one's a hit and miss because we should see Jonathan Taylor back this week, barring any setbacks on that ankle injury. But Jackson also hurt himself this past game, and so it is a hit and miss. You're likely not going to get a lot of usage out of him once JT does return, but it is still a good pickup if he still is on your wire. 33% owned, so he likely is there in a lot of leagues. So I would definitely put him on your bench just in case Jonathan Taylor does not return for Week 7, but all indication is that JT should return this week, man. Latavius Murray coming off Monday Night Football. They benched, basically benched Melvin Gordon the entire contest. Lat Murray is that guy everybody wants to replace, but they continue to use. So volume will still be there for a Lat Murray. I definitely put him on the bench. Gus Edwards, again, he's the rehab with the knee. You got to see what's going on with that before you can add him now. He is just on the watch list at this point. Same with James Cook. The Bills did not utilize him at all in that Kansas City Chief game, so just keep him on the watch list at this point. Notable watch list players. Chuba Hubbard, again, watch list player simply because the Christian McCaffrey trade scenario could come to pass very, very quickly. Maybe we'll see because Carolina looks like they're going to have a fire sale in a minute to trade away all the top-end talent that they do have on that roster, man. The wide receiver room, they do got a lot of, notable names we got to look at this point. Wan'Dale Robinson graces the list as the top receiver right now, along with Tyquan Thornton, because they are good playmaking, talented rookies, man, and they will have the opportunity. When it comes to Wan'Dale, he showed it. I wanted to see if that knee was fine, and it is good. He played very well, found his way into the end zone, 29 points for him this season so far coming back from that knee injury. You gotta like what you saw on the field with all the injuries to Kadarius Toney, to Kenny Golladay. The fact that they have Kadarius Toney on the trade block is very good news for Wan'Dale Robinson. Definitely go put in some fab dollars for a Wandale. Got to say about 10 to 15% fab dollars for Wandale. Get him on your roster now, because if he does stay healthy, he will blow up in this offense with Coach Dable, because he knows how to utilize this man and Daniel Jones. Danny Pennies, he's been playing, efficient football. We got to give him credit for that. Daniel Jones has been playing decent football enough to get this wide receiver a lot of touches in this offense, which will be high-end PPR upside. For Thornton, this guy just makes plays in this New England offense. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is, if it's Mac Money Jones or if it's Billy Zappi, because, you know what, Billy Zappi, but Thornton just continues to score touchdowns. He's a very fast runner, man. He's a former track star, under sub 4.40 time. He will make plays, whether it be deep, but the most impressive part about his game is that he does find ways to get open and beat, defensive backs in the short field, not just going deep and using that long speed. So Thornton is definitely one. I picked him up this past week right before the game started, because I had a feeling if I stash him, it was low rent. I didn't have to waste anything, so I stashed him, and he hit in, who knows, man, maybe it's trade bait for me later on, but definitely go get you some Thornton. I want to say 10 to 15 fab dollars as well for his services. Smith from the New Orleans Saints, Traquan Smith, resurrected from the dead because everybody else is injured. No Michael Thomas, no Jarvis Landry, and Smith is actually coming to play now. You're likely going to have Chris Olave back from his concussion this past week. They play on Thursday Night Football, so Smith is definitely a viable option again this week. That's why he's on the top of the list right now. 23.6 points so far in relief of all these injuries. He has been serviceable enough if you require a flex starter for your wide receivers. Smith is definitely one you got to go chase after right now, because he will return on investment, especially with Olave back on the field. He will do you wonders, especially if Jameis Winston does come back this week, which he may, and all indication looks like he might do that. Alec Pierce from the Indianapolis Colts, still 31% ownership. I thought he would have been well over 50 after the previous week. He finds himself to another touchdown this past week. And Matt Ryan, man, he found Matty Ice, old school Matty Ice ways, and Alec Pierce definitely needs to be on that roster. Don't know why y'all aren't running to that waiver right now. He's going to give you that minimum 8 to 12 points per week, and that's a decent flex marker, especially for all those Garrett Wilson owners who aren't getting ish out there for point production. We got yourselves a little Alec Pierce to help you out. Rondale Moore, everyone's running to the waiver wire to go grab Rondale Moore. I am not at this point. Okay, I understand if you do and you covet his services because of the playmaking ability. I like Rondale Moore. I coined him the electrician when I pulled his scouting report, and I cut up all his tape because he is that. However, the Arizona Cardinals just do not know how to utilize his services that well. They try, and it just doesn't come to pass the way we expect it to. They got to get the ball in this man's hands in space and let him make plays in the yak game. It just does not happen in Arizona. I don't know what's going on with this offense with the Cardinals. It is completely broken. Cliff Kingsbury said he might even give up play calling duties. That's your MO, man. I don't know what is going on. But Rondale Moore, it's, to me, I think you're just going to be disappointed the way this offense runs, especially with DeAndre Hopkins coming back. They just made the trade for Robbie Anderson because Hollywood Brown is likely done for the year with a foot injury. They did say about 6 to 8 weeks, but I got to say, with that one, I doubt we're going to see him come back, especially if the Cardinals keep losing. So it's up to you if you guys want to take Rondale Moore. I am not going to chase it because I think there are other options, including this man, Jahan Dotson. He goes under 50% because, he was injured and people had to drop him off of their rosters at this point, but Dotson is a viable play. The only caveat is we got Carson Wentz now gone 4 to 6 weeks with that hand injury, finger injury. He's likely going to go for surgery. So what are we going to see in Washington? Is it going to be Tyler Heinicke or is it going to be my guy, Sam Howell? I'm hoping it's going to be Sam Howell because I think it's time. Unleash the rookie, see what he can do. Maybe he could be the future of the Washington Commanders, the Commies. And I'm a huge Sam Howell fan, and we saw what he did in the preseason. He is a leader. He is a true leader quarterback that can rally this team and get them back into the good books. And if that does happen, Jahan Dotson's stock will continue to go up where it was before he left off, before he found his way into that medical room. Kadarius Toney's only on the watch list at this point simply because he may get traded. And if he gets traded, new team, new scenery, this could bode well for him to stay out of that medical room. I don't know what is going going on with his body, man. He just cannot stay healthy. He's just on the watch list. Do not go pick up Kadarius Toney just yet. Just put him on the watch list just in case he does get traded. That way you can go grab him before any of your league mates get him. Jameson Williams is on the list again because he will be returning shortly. I want to say within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So again, he's on the watch list as well. But if he does find his way to the field and he makes a big couple plays, he's going to be scooped up very fast. So you got to be ahead of your league mates on that one as well. The Rams, Skoranek, I always mess up that boy's name, but I mean, he's starting to find ways. Allen Robinson, we thought was going to take the PPR production, the touchdown upside. Just has not been happening this year. Skoranek is finding ways. They got a touchdown on him this past week. So, I mean, now as they're starting to morph this offense, maybe his role does increase a little bit. There's a lot of worse wide receivers you can get right now that are not putting up points. Over the last few weeks, Skoranek has been playing decently enough to say at least if you're in a big-time pinch at the wide receiver position, you could maybe trust his services. Khalil Shakir remains on the watch list at this point. It's all determined on what Isaiah McKenzie is doing. Isaiah did have a regrettable day versus those Kansas City Chiefs this past week, so maybe if a couple more of those, we could see a little bit more Shakir moving forward, but keep him on the waiver at this point. He is just on the watch list. For streaming quarterbacks this week, Matty Ice is back in business, 20% ownership rate, and he goes bananas, almost hits you 30 points this past week versus those Jacksonville Jaguars. He looked good. It looked like the Matty Ice of old. Maybe, just maybe, these Indianapolis Colts are finding ways to, at least move this ball down the field and be efficient like I thought they could be. I didn't think this past game was going to be the standard every single week for Matt Ryan, but I truly believe that you were lucky if it was going to go under 15 points. I thought it was 15 points guaranteed basically a week for Matt Ryan this season. Just hasn't come to pass yet. They're hopefully, like I said, trying to figure out this chemistry and how this scheme is going, and Matt Ryan did look back to, his old vintage Matty Ice ways in this past week. He looked very good. Got a good matchup again this week, so definitely if you're looking for a streamer on the quarterback position, Matt Ryan is back in the good graces. Marcus Mariota is also in the good graces. I mean, he has a very good day versus a very good defense in San Francisco. Yes, I realize San Fran has a ton of injuries on the defensive side yet again. They just cannot stay healthy year over year. The San Francisco 49ers need to hire another medical staff because they're just not getting it done. But Mariota now, again, he looked like Oregon Marcus Mariota back in the day. You got to love what he's doing. I think, this offense and this Atlanta Falcons team, they're not, they're surprising me. And that was one of my biggest things. I was having conversations with some of my buddies, and I said, this is such a surprising team. I did not expect them to play this good especially after they're trading away every, top-end talent that they do have, including Deion Jones this past week. Atlanta's figured something out. They got something. And Marcus Mariota, you can definitely do a lot worse than Mariota at this point. He gives you the supreme rushing upside. We just want to see it start to, pan out in the pass game. If he can start finding Kyle Pitts and he can start finding Drake London on the regular and then have that rushing upside, Marcus Mariota could be a very dominant fantasy football quarterback. And as we enter week 7, 8, 9, we could see that role and transition happen where he is starting to focus on his pass catchers a little bit more rather than just winning games, because that's what they're doing. They're playing it a little safe right now because they want to win some contests. Keep the fans coming to the stadium for at least half the season, and they've done very well in that department. Mariota also has a decent matchup that you could stream this week, especially with quarterbacks on the bye like Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins. You need a replacement. Mariota is not a bad one to fill in at this point. Ryan Tannehill coming off the bye himself, and he's going to be fresh and he's going to be loaded, man. He's only 15% ownership rate right now, and the way that the Tennessee Titans offense kind of figured themselves out as they went into the bye week, continue to run the ball, set up that play action pass, and that's where Tannehill does, exploit defenses. His floor has become pretty low, but his ceiling isn't as high. So, 15 to 20 points, you're kind of stretching for a Ryan Tannehill on a weekly basis at this point, but you don't hate it. You got to play the matchup cards on Tannehill. He's got a decent one this week as well. Daniel Jones, once again, he's just very efficient. He's not blowing you out the water with fantasy production this year, but he's not turning the ball over. That's a big positive if you're playing a Daniel Jones. The biggest issue was interceptions and fumbles last year. He would get you the 15 and he would turn the ball over 3 times, and then it was 6 points. And you're like, damn it, Daniel, what are you doing to me? But now the carefulness with the ball, the protecting the ball is a very big positive for Daniel Jones. Jameis Winston potentially coming back this week. If he does come back for Thursday Night Football, I definitely would be looking at his services to stream because him and Chris Olave should be able to find chemistry early and often, and he could be a very good pickup. If you're scrounging at the bottom of the barrel, Billy Zappe, I mean, we'll see because Mac Money Jones could be coming back this week as well, but I highly doubt it. I think that Bill Belichick does like what he sees from Billy Zappe, and I mean, he does have an arm. I told you all this when he took over. He has an arm. He is a reliable quarterback. He's that gunslinger type of quarterback that you like to see, and he's got an arm. So now he's starting to put the ball where it needs to be, and as long as he continues to win contests for Bill Belichick, he's going to continue to gain favor while they rest up Mac Money Jones. So for me, it is a low shot in the dark, but playing against those Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football on the big stage, who knows? We could see a good game from Billy Zappe, and I'm telling y'all, but I mean, Garoppolo and Zach Wilson, I mean, look in the other direction right now because Garoppolo's turning the ball over like he typically does in bad situations, and Zach Wilson right now, they have simplified this offense so much where they're running the football all they can, dictating clock and dictating pace of the game, and not asking Zach Wilson to do a lot. It was 10 of 18 for just what? Over 120 yards last week. It's not a lot of production for Zach Wilson right now, and he is killing us with the wide receivers on this Jets team. So you got to wait. The progression is starting to climb, though. You got to give it patience with a Zach Wilson. It will come in time. I have no doubt in my mind. Tight ends, the crapshoot of tight ends continues, and Mike Gesicki goes off this week because it was Teddy Bridgewater, and you know what Teddy does. He loves finding the tight end position. Now with Tua likely coming back this week, it will be the forgotten man of Mike Gesicki. So I only put him here because, you know, he had a big game that you got to take notice of. Can we trust it? Highly unlikely. But everybody's struggling for tight ends that can produce this season. So I don't fault you for going after Gesicki. Do not spend fab dollars on Mike Gesicki whatsoever. Maybe what, $5 if you have that. If you have a $100 fab budget, $5 is all I would do, and then limit your expectations because there could be something of another disappointment once Tua is back because he's going to feed Tyreek and Jalen Waddle time because that's what he does, and he's not going to necessarily go to the tight end position outside of maybe the one or two plays in the red zone. Teddy loves the tight ends. It's an easy shot. Tua likes to go to his wide receivers. That's the difference in the two. If you're going after a tight end, I'm telling y'all, Daniel Bellinger, I told y'all last week, put him on the watch because he's starting to make waves, and look what this man's doing. 32 points, man, 2.3% ownership rate. He is moving. They are liking what he offers to this offense, especially with all the injuries to the wide receiver room, and that should continue again as they move forward, but Bellinger is a good tight end that you have to keep your eye on. He could be very much reliable for everybody that picks him up. Yes, we'll get some stinkers here and there, but as long as that wide receiver core stays in the medical room and it's only Wandale, it's James, and then Sills, I mean, you could have a decent productivity game from a Bellinger who finds his way into the end zone. Hunter Henry is back on the board because of guys like Billy Zappe, and that's what I'm saying. You see, an inexperienced quarterback looking for the easy targets, going to find the tight end all the time because it is the easy completion. It is the hot read typically all the time, and Zappe could be finding Hunter Henry once again this week against those Chicago Bears who are very, they don't play the tight end very well, so we could see Hunter Henry do some decent work, man. Evan Ingram, again, he's going to give you, this is the point with Evan Ingram. You're not going to get likely the 20 points, the 15 to 20 points ever from this man in this offense. But what he will give you 6.5 to 10 points per week. And if you're okay getting that per week, Evan Ingram is your guy. If you just want that steady play, that's your guy. But you got to go for upside every single week. It's very difficult with tight ends. Evan Ingram is going to give you that steady floor of 6 to 10 points every single week. Cade Otton is a guy that I am looking at this week because of Cameron Brate being injured now. He is going to be gone. He's got a neck injury. This could prolong for a majority part of the rest of this season. Otton did show some chemistry with Tom Brady, and the Bucs got embarrassed by those Pittsburgh Steelers. Fooled me, man. Look what the Bills did. They made me believe that Tom Brady could replicate what the Bills did. Just did not happen. And I mean, Otton at this point, you can trust. I would likely want to say, with a 45 to 50% degree of trust level in this offense because he does at least possess the ability with the short plays that Tom Brady does like, the short, easy completions, and he could give you some decent PPR upside. Full PPR leagues for Otten, I would say, is your best bet. Anything half and no and standard leagues, I wouldn't even look in his direction at this point. Ferguson from the Dallas Cowboys, he's an interesting name to watch now that Dak Prescott is coming back. Dalton Schultz seems to still be having lingering issues with that knee injury, so Ferguson looked good against those Philadelphia Eagles. He looks fast, he's big, and I mean, this could be the type of guy that, lets the Dallas Cowboys walk away from Dalton Schultz next season, so we shall see how that does come to fruition. But Ferguson has definitely now supplanted himself as a player on the watch list for the tight end position. If you're really stuck and Dak does come back, I wouldn't hate picking up his services on matchup play because he could be a decent one. Logan Thomas, you just got to watch for that injury, but again, his value is a little bit lower until we realize who the quarterback is going to be in Washington now that Carson Wentz is gone. But Logan Thomas, if it is Sam Howell, I'm putting Logan Thomas back up my board once he is healthy because he could be a reliable target once again for y'all on your fantasy clubs. So there you have it. That is week number 7 waiver wire pickups, and I mean, it's getting deep, and we got to get those wins. I get it. This week's waiver wire isn't as abundant with top-end talent, but this is just the way the league is going this year. There's not a great deal of point production being had even by superstars. So we got to, scrape and claw our way. And I'm telling y'all, some of these guys could be beneficial for you as the season does continue. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.